Welcome back to Soul Purpose with Shemama. This is your host, Shenora Lechleidner, also known as Shemama, the Underwire Slayer. And I am here with my special guest, my eldest daughter, Charis. Welcome to the show, Charis.
Hi.
Hi. Will you tell people a little bit about yourself?
Well, of course, my name is Charis. I am an artist and I do a bunch of crafts and paintings. And then I'm also an older sister of two interesting people. That's what I'm going to say. Interesting. Okay? Interesting.
You are a great big sister. So this season 4 of Soul Purpose with Shemama is about hope. And this week we were privileged to go visit the Legacy Museum in Montgomery. And for those of you who are not familiar with this museum, as I wasn't until just this year actually, it is a civil rights museum focusing on from slavery to incarceration and dealing with the injustices of Black people as a whole. And I think I've shared on a previous podcast that my great grandfather was actually born into slavery and his freedom was purchased by his parents. And then he went on to migrate north and was an entrepreneur. And that exhibit that we went through, the museum, I don't think you've ever been to a museum kind of like that. At the age where you can actually remember what was going on. So, one of the things that, especially the Black community, we focus on is having hope. No matter what happened in the past, we can always have hope for the future. And so, this season on Soul Purpose with Shemama, I've been talking about hope in the midst of trials, tribulations, grief, loss. What does hope mean to you? And what did that museum experience bring out for you? Do you feel like there is hope in the current state of our world, or what does hope mean to you?
Hope is like pushing through something, like the belief that you can push through something. And the museum, there were some things that really made me cry because there it could be still happening, like slavery specifically, because the um the mistreatment of, well, any people really is still going on today, but slavery in general, that thinking about my siblings, that would have been really hard for us if I had to go through that. And one of the pictures that really hit me was a picture of a letter written by around 5 to 7. It had that little kid handwriting, and there was a picture, and it was just saying thank you for helping me get through that. And so that made me really sad because the fact that kids had to face that and they were tried as adults in jail, that I it really made my heart break. So having hope for the world, a little bit, but not really, if I'm being honest. Having hope for people, yes. In the world in general, not really. But people, I have hope that they can learn to do better. And I guess act better, if that makes sense. But seeing the weapons and everything that I saw people being hung. I saw these weird things around their neck that looked like spider legs. I don't know what it was, but it was just to keep them tied up, and it looked really painful. And I also hate spiders, and especially because of their legs, so that even creeped me out even more. But the hope that those people had that they could make it out alive and for them to stick up for themselves, that gives me hope that people can also change and push through something.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely something that is a driver. Hope is a driver when you are in circumstances that you're not necessarily in control of. For you personally, and our transition to Georgia, for those of you who are new here, we moved from Indiana to Georgia 2 years ago. And it's been kind of challenging for our whole family. And we have overcome and are still overcoming a lot. What gives you hope in this season? Without going into too much detail, but where does your hope stem from?
Um, Mainly God, and the fact that when I pray or I mention something to God, the next day or even like a week later, somebody will come up and say, "Hey, are you okay?" Like because I will pray for people, for the right people to come into my life, and then they'll come and help me or just check up on me. Um, so that gives me hope. And I guess the fact that we're still alive gives me hope.
Yeah, you've lived through a global pandemic, and we were in the house, and then after things started getting back to normal, we had a huge life move. Um it really has not been easy. But one thing I appreciate about you is that you make the best out of everything. Like, you can switch gears. You're like, all right, we don't have this or we can't do this, but let's do this. You're always thinking of different ways to make things better or make, lives better, which is, it's a source of hope for me, because that means that we don't have to drown in everything that's going wrong. We can still have hope, like you said, in God, knowing that He cares for us and that He sends people or messages and signs and miracles and wonders to let us know that we are not alone, no matter what situation that we are in. And so, speaking of not being alone, you're about to hit a major milestone. You're going to high school in the fall.
Hmm. I don't like that word. That word's a cuss word.
That word's a cuss word. You're going to ninth grade, and I know that you are ready. You're probably above your grade level already when it comes to education. Yes, you are. You're very intelligent. However, what are some things that you're carrying into high school, or that you're going to take the lessons that you've learned, in middle school, that you'll take into high school? What are some things that you're looking forward to? And maybe some things that you're just like, you know what? I don't really want that in my future.
Mm. Well, I know something that I don't want in my future, and that's toxic people.
Mm.
But something that I do want to take with me to high school is um, being healthier mentally, physically, and I'm just gonna kind of sponsor this. I don't know, but I found an app called Finch, and that's been really helping me because I haven't had any major problems with stress um, until literally like last night. No, not last night, the night before, when I did have an anxiety attack. But that was because I've had a lot of homework and keeping up with chores and everything because the end of the school year is coming. So there's a lot of tests and stuff that needs to be done. And I'm gonna have a lot of work this week because we're about to go on spring break. But that's something that I want to keep. And in high school and well before then, like during the summer, I want to start creating habits that will help me keep those goals. Something I want to keep with me forever is math. I know that sounds nerdy, but I'm gonna need it if I'm gonna become an interior designer or anything with art, really, because art is also math, science. It's a bunch of things. And so I'm definitely gonna be taking that with me. And I do get yelled at if I'm the only person who knows the answer to something in math for some reason. You would have thought I would have gotten, oh, congratulations, Charis, but they yell at me. Anyways, that's something I want to take with me. And the fact that I got to experience real life, real school after 3 years of homeschooling, um, even though it was hard, I'm glad I got to do that. Or if I'm being honest, I'm only school smart, nothing else. Not world smart, nothing. I don't know anything about that.
You are very wise, and just because you don't necessarily fit in with all of this secular world, and what she means is we don't allow social media whatsoever, and there are a lot of classmates who are very much exposed to social media and therefore exposed to a lot of things that we may talk about, but the content that they ingest, they'll be talking about something and Cheers won't know anything about it because she's not as immersed in the culture as those other kids
but I'm
are.
glad because some of those kids are really just
Wonderful people.
they're interesting. That is my word of the year.
Interesting. They're interesting.
Anytime somebody says something that's just off, I just go interesting because that's something that won't.
But here's the thing, though. As believers in Christ, we are supposed to be set apart. I think mommy knows a little bit more about some trends, just depending on the algorithm, because I am on social media. But we are supposed to be set apart. We are supposed to be, like relatable and loving of all people. But it's okay to not necessarily be so immersed in the world, in the way the world works. And even some of, my favorite people in the world, they have a completely and totally different life from us. Okay. Your uncle, he's a DJ in a club, and that's not my it's not my ministry. And so I may not know all of the trendy things or some of the songs that, everybody knows and they know all the dance moves to. But I can still relate because,
The
when
thing is, I
we
wish
love.
more people were like that, as in they can be understanding of people's opinions instead of
being so judgmental.
Yeah, like if I know an answer in the math class, you don't have to be so judgmental. Yeah, jealous.
I think what it is, it's jealousy and it's intimidating, for some people when they're in the presence of people who demonstrate more intelligence or understanding of certain subjects. And you don't have to be intimidated. Like, I think that's something that we as a society should really hone in on. Like, if you're in a room and there's somebody smarter than you, then
you should learn from them.
You should learn from them, not condemn them for being smart. And I'm glad that you haven't dumbed yourself down just because people have picked on you for knowing things. And I'm also grateful that you're not too arrogant either, because there was a time that if your classmates didn't understand certain things, you would take time to help them to understand. You weren't like, I'm smart and you're not, you know. So I'm like, that's good too. So there's definitely a balance, you know.
Well,
And
sometimes you do have to go do it yourself because they can't just always ask for help.
yeah. Yeah. And there's
Because
teachers.
because that's what they're doing. They're kind of taking advantage of my help
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing the actual work. So I kind of stopped helping people. I still help them, but not
Mm-hmm.
as much as I used to.
And I think that is a measure of love too, because when you set a boundary, it helps people grow. They may not like it, you know, they may be offended, but, you know, there's a reason why we set boundaries. So I think we had a great conversation today. As you know, we like to keep the episodes short now. I try to keep them like under 20 minutes if I can, just so that we can honor people's time. But is there anything that you want to close out with? A cherished word of wisdom? Anything?
Be yourself, no matter what. Don't let criticism or anything. I mean, you can have your emotions, you can feel the pain, but don't let it bring you completely down. And also, maybe check out that Finch app because it's cute, it's fun, and I really like using it every day. And I have a 25-day streak now.
You have a 25-day streak?
Yes.
I just start my streak over. I'm gonna link my referral link. I think they give us a referral link. I'm gonna put that in the description of this episode if you want to check out Finch. And I tagged them on Instagram and told them like how much this app is helping our family because everyone has it, and it's like she said, it's all about just setting up a good daily routine, you know. And when you have that type of discipline, it carries over into other areas of your
And
life.
if y'all want me to, I can show you how I set mine up. Because there's
so generous. You gonna tell everybody in the whole world, I teach you how I set it up. So yeah, maybe we'll do like some TikToks or something to show people
because
that.
it is kind of like Elijah. He doesn't have a full plan because I keep on forgetting to help him. But I can like do videos helping you how to navigate through the app and choosing specific things you want to do. So maybe I'll use Elijah's phone since he doesn't have that much on there and use that as an example.
All right, thank you, helpful Charis. All right, guys, so that is our episode for this week. I hope you have a wonderful, peaceful, fruitful, productive week. And as always, I love you and I mean it.